we play a game?
Why, yes. I believe we shall.
Oh, I got a live one here.
Live from Little Rock, it's Shane Plays Radio, Geek Talk Radio, journey into the things we love. Zach, we are back on 96.5 after, 6 weeks, 2 months, something like that? Ouachita Baptist football schedule kind of messed us up, but we rolled with it. And past almost 2 months, we've been on 99.5 live, and then the show's been replaying on 96.5 on Sundays. But we're back to our normal schedule. Saturdays, 1 o'clock, 96.5 FM The Answer. Of course, we stream online simultaneously even, on the 96.5 The Answer website. And the show always goes out as a podcast. I can't talk. Normally the delay in my headphones doesn't mess me up, but it is today. Zach, let me hear myself. But for some reason, it's messing me up more today than normal. I'll roll with it. Okay, so the show always goes out as a podcast on my blog and iTunes and Stitcher. That'll be probably Monday. And then we're always a week delayed on Krypton Radio. KryptonRadio.com, sci-fi for your Wi-Fi. And you can always call in. This is live Geek Talk Radio. And a lot of people are like, they think it's just a podcast. And there's nothing wrong with podcasts, but it's also live Geek Talk Radio. So you can call us at 501-823-0965, or you can tweet me at Shane Plays. So that Shane Plays, like I like to play stuff, not like it's my place. So ShanePlays.com, or not .com, Shane Plays on Twitter, or 501-823-0965. So in the studio right now, we have two, and this is cool. These are not only two authors, but two Little Rock area authors. So Little Rock representing, and one. Now you told me how to pronounce it, so let me make sure I don't mess it up. P.R. Principe.
Yes,
like
very
Al
close.
Pacino.
Yeah, like Al Pacino, exactly.
Okay, Principe, and you're actually from my neck of the woods.
I am. I live north of the river. Exactly.
Okay, and now Thomas Kroepfl is from Little Rock. Say hi, Thomas.
How you doing?
I'm doing. How you doing?
How you doing?
All right, and say hi, PR.
Hello.
All right, and we're going to be talking to you guys after the news segment about your books, and they're both post-apocalyptic thrillers, but they're not the same type of apocalypse. So that's really interesting. Look forward to talking to both of you guys. And on the phone is my poor beleaguered friend Keith. Is Keith with us?
Good morning or
hey,
good afternoon.
Keith.
Where you're at?
All that you used to be cool, but now you live in California with the land of the granola munchers.
I think you meant the definition of cool then. Right?
No, you're still cool. Thanks for joining. You're under the weather, and I sent you a text this morning, and I said, congratulations, you're going to be on my news segment. And you were like,
right.
And you said something about you don't have a fully informed opinion. And I said, you obviously mistake my show. You obviously think it's quote unquote a professional show, but instead it's just me flailing around on live radio.
Right.
So, yeah. Right. And now I have two witnesses to watch me flail around, plus Zach. Zach's usually my only witness. So thanks, Keith, for being on.
No, thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're going to charge right into the show. First thing, Zach, has our news staff, are they working today? There they go. Oh, yeah.
I love your news music.
I know, it's good, isn't it?
It feels like I'm right live in the heart of news.
That's it, right? So, yeah, our news staff, they work on Saturdays. See, that's actually a live microphone feed to the newsroom. Yeah, they're on the other end of the hallway down there. Let's listen in again, Zach. Oh, man, there they go.
Just typing away on
they work on Saturdays. Keith, have you ever heard my news staff work before?
What's the right answer? I would say yeah.
Shane, I love you, but I never listen to your show. Yeah, I don't think when you listened before, I asked you to listen to a couple in the early days, and I don't think I have my news staff. Okay, so these guys work on Saturday. Now, Sal is still missing. I'm wearing my fedora. You guys can. Do I have my fedora on?
You have
okay,
a fedora
so
on.
this is in honor of Sal. A couple of weeks ago, he told me he had to go undercover because he had stumbled onto a mob story and they were going to whack him. So we still haven't heard from Sal. So I'm wearing this in his honor, hoping that he's okay. I'm not going to chomp a cigar, though. That's what Sal, wears a fedora, and he has a trench coat, and he chomps a cigar.
No smoking in the studio. I'm
Well,
sure.
right. Well, he just kind of chomped.
Okay.
Kind of like
That's
the
all
Nick
right.
Fury chomp. It's
Okay.
not really lit.
That's all right then.
But I've got some good news for our news staff. I got 2 new Patreon supporters, Garen, or maybe Garon, but I'm going to say Garen Gilham and Justin Hall. Between the two of them, they pledged $3 per show. So I said if I got another Patreon supporter, I'd give my news staff a penny an hour raise. But we're going to give them 3 pennies an hour. So thanks so much, Garen and Justin. So what do you think about that, Keith?
I think, do you remember that one?
Yeah, the
episode
Chicken
we had
Man
talked about?
episode. Yeah,
The
1
Chicken
penny.
Man, how you negotiated.
Yeah, he negotiated him down to
himself a penny
1
raise.
penny, and then Chicken Man had to pay them. Yeah, you guys
Right.
know Chicken Man?
I don't think I
Okay, well
would-
now
I've heard of
you're an
Chicken
Air
Man.
Force guy,
Yeah.
and
I've heard of Chicken Man.
okay, Thomas is a Navy guy. Keith and I are both Air Force guys, and they used to play it on Armed Forces Radio and television.
Oh, okay.
And then Keith has the complete the complete collection of Chicken Man. So I'm gonna have to. It goes Chicken Man. Anyway, I'm gonna have to find it. So okay,
Yeah, there was an episode where Chicken Man's mom negotiated his salary
yeah,
down to.
yeah. Chicken
yeah.
Man's because he worked for Commissioner Gordon or whatever.
Yeah,
And his
yeah.
mom went in and was like, "How's he doing?" And the commissioner's like, "Great, wonderful." And he's like, "Oh no," they said, "Good." And then she's like, "Good, let's talk about a raise." He said, "Good, but not great." And then they started
Yeah.
negotiating. Yeah, and then it ended up Chicken Man had to pay the city a penny in order to fight crime. So anyway, okay. So thanks, Garen and Justin. Remember, people can always support the show at patreon.com/shameplays. So got a giveaway. I'm going to give the details later in the show, but be listening for your chance to win a copy of the new D&D computer game Sword Coast Legends. So listen later in the show. I'll be throwing that out. Now, guys, I'll tell you what I finally did. And feel free to banter away.
Okay.
I finally watched Terminator Genisys.
Oh, what did
Have you guys seen it
I
yet?
haven't. I know. That's the only one I haven't seen.
You have? How about you, Thomas?
I'm not really sure. I saw
That's the new one that came
Okay,
out
is it-
over the summer.
Okay,
the
no, I
new
didn't
one with
see it.
Arnold, where he's,
Yeah,
if he's
Arnold.
back. Yeah,
Yeah, no,
I
I
will
didn't see
break.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
I'll
didn't
be
even know it
back.
was out yet.
Yeah, it came out over the summer. Zach, have you seen it? Okay, you're nodding your head. Keith, you've seen it, right?
Shane, I'll be honest with you. I watched the first 15 minutes and I stopped it. It was
Wow.
so bad.
Wow.
That
That's if
doesn't
you-
sound good. That-
Wow. Keith
I mean,
Savage.
That's just my opinion. But anyway, did you end up finishing it?
I
I'm
did.
assuming
I
so.
actually
And?
diametrically see. You're out there eating granola. You're munching on the granola
Here
in
we go.
California,
Here we
and
go.
something's obviously wrong. But
Right.
I
Where
actually
movies
liked
are
it.
made. Where movies are made. Yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
What did you just say? You're moving to what?
No, where movies are made.
Oh, where movies are made, right? Yeah.
So be careful.
Obviously,
Yeah,
yeah.
anyway.
Okay, so you were actually gazing on the Hollywood sign when you gave your opinion, right then, right? So I don't. My opinion is valid.
Right.
Okay.
What do you think? What's your opinion?
Well, moving right along in the disaster that is my news segment, I liked it, but I think maybe I was expecting it to be a total disaster. So I actually kind of liked it.
You came in with low expectations, and
because people were like, "Oh, it's terrible," blah blah blah. And here's my take: you can watch Terminator 1,
Right.
Terminator 2, and go right to Genesis and forget the other Terminator movies. And I think it's an overall decent experience.
okay.
That's my opinion.
I didn't mind the one before with Claire Danes and the other
That one was all.
Same here.
It was okay.
The
You
only
thought
one,
this one was better?
The only one I've liked since Terminator 2 was the one where they were in the future, Salvation.
Oh, yeah, that's right. They were on the sub. There was
Yeah.
the headquarters
I
was on the
did
sub.
that
Yeah.
one.
That was a pretty good one.
I like that. What'd you say, Thomas?
I hated that one.
Really?
It took me a month to get through that movie.
Wow. So you turned it off every 15 minutes.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But
So you followed the Keith
I watched it when
Irons
there was
method.
nothing else.
All right. So Keith, you have a disciple. He follows the Keith Irons method of movie watching. Every 15 minutes, turn it off. So no, I liked it. The one thing that I didn't like is they gave away the big reveal in the trailers, like when it first came out. So I knew that was going to happen. But yeah, Arnold was, I kind of liked him.
He was back in good form, looking good.
Yeah, and they explained why he looked aged, because the Terminator is covered in normal flesh that would age.
Right. Oh, that's
So-
a good little explanation.
Yeah. So, but anyway, so Keith turned it off after 15 minutes. So it must be terrible.
Well, how many stars would you give it? 4 out of?
I
four
give
out of
it
five?
3 out of 5.
3 out of 5. Okay.
Yeah, watchable.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, there's some carnage. Stuff blew up. They did Arnold threw out his lines. I'll be back.
Well, that just right there gets it a 3-star, I think.
Yeah, it was. I liked it anyway, and they goobered around with the plot. And here's what's cool, and then I'll move on. They recreate some scenes from Terminator 1 because they're all over the time, right? And so while I was watching it, I pulled up on YouTube those scenes from Terminator 1 and compared them, and they did a really good job. Yeah. Cool. So the only thing it was missing was Jason Patrick as the
metal
morphing.
T2000,
So,
I think it's called.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. So, okay. And speaking of the Terminator, did you guys know now I'm sure that Keith living in California, this is nothing to him. But Arnold Schwarzenegger was here in Arkansas this week. Did you see that?
No, I didn't see
No,
that.
I
What was
didn't.
he
Yeah.
doing?
I saw it on Facebook, and people can go to shameplays.com, and there's show notes up there for today's show, and there's pictures. But I saw this on several Facebook feeds, and Arny himself was at a Wal-Mart in Northwest Arkansas.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and he took pictures like in front of the Terminator Genisys display, holding up the DVDs, and then it shows him holding a big pile of like pajamas and camouflage. So I don't know if he was going hunting or what.
I like to wear camouflage.
Yeah, I
at
like
night.
to wear camo. So here's the thing: like Keith can look out his door, and Arnold's in front of his door right now, but we don't get that here in Arkansas very often. I mean,
he was over at my house the other night.
yeah, he was
and
hanging.
you guys-
And then when he left, he said, "I'll be back." See,
You couldn't help
here's the thing.
yourself.
Couldn't
You
help
couldn't
it,
help
no.
Here's the thing: I just got indoor plumbing here in Arkansas, so I mean, for goodness sakes, to have an Arnold
I
spotting.
mean, that's pretty great.
Now you do spot every now and then. Billy Bob Thornton.
Yeah.
He lives in, or he used to live in Malvern. So.
He's a native, so does
Yeah,
that really?
you'll
doesn't-
see him
Not
on a-
quite like Arnold.
Yeah, Arnold.
Who is from Austria.
Austria. I wonder if him and Billy Bob Thornton arm wrestle.
Who do you think would win, though?
Billy Bob.
I don't know.
I think
Billy
Arnold
Bob, you
would
think?
rip his arm off and beat him down with it.
I think Billy Bob might have a sling blade. Somehow.
Well,
Yeah, he would
Billy
cheat.
Bob
He
might
would
have
most definitely
that
cheat.
that sort of country cunning.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
so-
he'd cut him while he's not looking.
Yeah, he might with a sling blade.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. What are you doing in my back? No, I got to do my sling blade. Mm-hmm. There's
Now you
Arnold.
got it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, enough. All right, let's rein in the host. All right, anything else we want to say about Terminator Genisys or Arny? Do we have anything else? All right. Did you see that Zach, that he was in Arkansas? Did you see that? You didn't? Okay. All right. Well, we got to keep going, get through this news segment so we can talk to these guys about their books. Okay. Did you know you can now play Dungeons and Dragons in virtual reality?
I heard that.
I
Yeah.
did, but only because I heard it on your show last week. I think we were talking about it. So
Well,
yeah,
this is there's a official news story out about it now.
Oh, really?
And-
Okay.
And you have to have one of those Oculus Rifts. So here's the thing. I don't think this is going to have a huge appeal because you got to have the money and the Oculus. But if you can afford it all, evidently it's a pretty cool experience.
I don't think it'll work. I don't think it'll really catch on because D&D is it's a table game. It's a social thing.
Well, that's a good question because there's this thing called Roll20 and Fantasy Grounds. that lets people play online with kind of a tabletop, and it's taken off because you get the Skype or the video and the audio, and it's not the same as sitting as a table with your buddy.
Now that's what I was talking about last week on his show, where he was talking about how you can play online, but almost simulating a tabletop experience.
Well, no, this is a step forward where you put the Oculus Rift on, and it's like 3D. I mean,
I'd like to try it. I don't know.
So it's like you're at the tabletop, but you're in cyberspace or whatever.
I still don't think that'll catch on.
I don't think it'll catch on just because you have to have the Oculus Rift and all that.
That plus D&D players have spent, God, what, thousands of dollars on edition after edition.
Right.
It's too much money.
Right. No, I hear you. I think it's going to have limited appeal. It's going to bring elitism into the RPG. Oh, here we go.
Do we want that, really?
It's going to be we're going to be the 99%.
The 1% with the Oculus Rift.
Keith, tell us the story about the time your roommate walked out of his bedroom all devastated and told you that his dad just died. You remember that?
What? No.
He was like, do you remember this?
I'm trying to think back.
There was a guy that he had a roommate or something. And he came out and he's like, my dad just died. And you were like, dude, like, oh, and you were like expressing sympathy but they were playing an MMO. But the way he expressed it to you was like it really happened. Was that not you that told me that story?
It wasn't me. All I remember was there was a time when my roommate and I were really into Neverwinter Nights.
Yeah.
This is like 13 years ago, and what a great game. But we were getting into a lot of the multiplayer aspects of that, and there's this one module we downloaded that was, the whole thing was about crafting. So you were in a town, and I spent like a couple weekends, like, going out to the field, harvesting wheat, and then getting eggs from the chickens, and then milking the cows, and then going in and trying to craft bread. And then I kept failing. And then you had to wait overnight for everything to come back up, harvest it the next day, and then try crafting. And after 2 weekends of trying to craft bread, on this, and I was like, I woke up one morning and I'm like, why am I trying? Why am I killing, 2 weekends trying to craft bread in this game? So anyway, but as far as, I don't
maybe it was
that.
somebody else. I could have swore that was you that told me that.
No.
Like,
my trauma was crafting.
Okay. So anyway, and speaking of Neverwinter Nights, Sword Coast Legends is kind of picking up the torch of that game where you can do custom modules and all that stuff. So so people listen in for details later on how to win a code for that game. Okay. So speaking of games that you despise and you hate, Keith, we were talking about Fallout 4 last night, and you were like, you said it was the worst game ever invented, and anybody who plays it for more than 15 minutes was a waste of breath.
I knew you were going to do that.
He didn't. He said he really liked it a lot.
You threatened you would tell people that I hated the game after I had a couple of light criticisms.
You know how when somebody
like give out my address.
All right, Thomas.
I think it would be cool if you did say that, but I don't know nothing about the game.
Well, what he did was he said it's an amazingly great game except for these one or two minor quibbles. So of course I was like, well, you hate it, and anybody who likes it, you think they're stupid.
So if Keith, if you played, I played the last iteration of Fallout. You definitely, this one is worth playing. Then
I think so. So you did play Fallout New Vegas?
I played. I didn't. That was the expansion, wasn't I? Played the one before that.
That was Fallout 3.
Fallout 3, right?
Yeah.
I played that all the way at the end. So.
Yeah, I did too, and I love Fallout 3. Now, my only small quibbles with the new Fallout
very
is,
small,
very small, so small it's
minute.
almost not worth mentioning. Yeah, minute. Yeah, is number one, Schwarzenegger's in it. No, I'm just kidding. He's not.
Yeah.
No, but
is he really in it?
My biggest
Oh, okay.
My biggest thing about that game was I love the game, and the graphics look a lot better than Fallout 3's. They've redone that. The lighting is nice, and I've always liked the Fallout games for the atmosphere and this kind of stuff. And this one delivers. The thing is, for me, now it's been quite a few years since the last Fallout, and the gameplay is essentially the same. And I'm to qualify, I'm about 13 hours into the game, so I'm not too far into the sandbox games, but the graphics are decent, they're good, but compared to some games out today, I still think the graphics look a little dated. They probably could be updated a little better. But the gameplay is essentially the same. To me, it's like putting a new coat of paint over the same wall. You know what I mean? There's a lot of kind of like fetch and get missions. The things that I like, the different things are like you level up fairly quickly, and the way you distribute your points, you can actually increase your special abilities, your strength, your perception, or you can choose a skill to upgrade. So you can do either or, which I don't believe you could do that in the last game. And then they've got these settlements now, and I haven't done much with the settlements, but for me, that's a little more maintenance in the game than I really want. I'm proceeding along with the quests, and I think the settlements are optional, but it looks like you have to keep the people happy, and you can build it up, which I can see the appeal, but for me, that's not really what I play Fallout for.
I guess if you didn't want to do bread crafting, you're not into maintenance at all.
I think we've established.
There you go.
So,
maybe it's just me.
well, and it's interesting because, like at work, a lot of people are talking about the settlements. And in fact, I went out. I called Keith about this last night, and I was shocked as Falloutville.com was available, so I registered it because instead of Farmville, it's Falloutville. So I'm going to set up a website so people can share tips on their settlement building. But there you heard it from his lips. Keith hates everything about the game. So, hey, Keith, I got to share this with you.
Put my address out on your website.
Yeah, well, here's his address. This granola's gone to his bread out in California, or in his head. Yeah, so Keith, I was going to share this with you. So every time I tell Google, I go, "Okay, Google," and it makes the beeping noise, and I say, call Keith Hirons Mobile, and it goes, calling Keith Hiorns Mobile. Why does it do that, Keith? I've told it like 10 times now that your name is Hirons. Is it saying that you're an Eeyore? Is that what it's trying to say, Keith?
No. No.
In all transparency, Keith is a friend of mine from way back. I'm just giving him a hard time. He's a good sport, and he likes the game. Okay, I just give him a hard time.
I've answered my last name. I've answered to so many different spellings and mispronunciations in my last name, so I don't even know how it's pronounced anymore. Google.
Well, I'll tell you, Google doesn't know. Calling Keith Hiorns. So anyway, all right. And speaking, I'm not going to go into this news to save time, to give Thomas and PR some time. But there's a link on the show notes at shaneplays.com where Chris Avalone talks about the Fallout 3 that wasn't made. Used to be called Van Buren, and it's pen and paper origins. And also there was this cool mechanic where you had theme music for your character, which was kind of neat. Okay. Hey, Zach, hit us with the Mystery Science Theater 3000 music there, buddy.
In the not too distant future, next Sunday AD, there was a guy named Joel, not too different from you or me.
Okay, so we mentioned this last week that there was a Kickstarter to do another 12-episode season. They raised their Kickstarter campaign goal of $2 million in 6 days. And they've also announced who the host is going to be. Now, I thought it was going to be Joel, right? But he's the one doing the Kickstarter. But it's going to be Jonah Ray, who was on the Nerdist. I don't know anything about this guy. Do you guys know this guy?
Nothing.
I was hoping for Mike. I lean Mike. I know
I
lean
Joel.
Joel.
I like Mike, but I lean Joel. Actually, I despise everything about Mike. I hate him.
Now you sound like your friend Keith.
No, and he's not involved. It said that former cast members Kevin Murphy, Bill Corbett, and Mike Nelson are not involved. So are you an MST 3K guy, Keith? I think you are, aren't you?
Oh, yeah. No, I love the show. Yeah.
Yeah. So did you know about this Kickstarter?
I did. I just found out about it, and I will give it to it. I'm debating how much I'm going to give, actually. So
okay. Well, I mean, you're in California, so you can just walk next door and talk to these guys, right?
Yeah, right.
Okay. All right. Well, like I said last week, they officially have something to crow about. So
I don't know if it's going to be the same without those original.
I don't know.
members.
We'll find out. I mean, I'm definitely going to give it a shot. So. All right, and then finally, hit us with a fanfare, Zach. Oh, yeah. Here we go, boys. Yeah, yeah. PR's got the I Am Your Father t-shirt on. Boom. Oh, yeah, right there. Mm-hmm. All right. Go ahead and kill it, Zach. So, did you guys get goosebumps right then?
I always get goosebumps when the Star Wars theme is played, actually.
All right. Thomas seems unaffected.
Unaffected completely. The last 3 movies, Jar Jar killed it for me. I just can't get past Jar Jar.
Well, there's no Jar Jar in these that we know of.
And see, now I'm disappointed even more because I had heard 2 separate things.
Oh, that he was like a Sith Lord?
I heard that one, and I thought I would go see the movie if that were true.
Right.
Yeah.
But then I had also heard that he died a horrible death.
I don't know.
I would go to see that.
I would.
Sure. Yeah.
I would.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
But since he's not in it, I don't care. Yeah.
I'm a Star Wars. I'm a true fan.
What do you
I'm
think?
not a fair. About what?
About the new one. Are you
Oh yeah, I got my tickets. I'm ready to go.
Are you ready to go?
Give it a shot. Yeah. There's going to be things that we miss because Lucas isn't doing it, but there'll be stuff that Abrams brings to the table. So I'm ready.
I'm really curious to see it. I'm hoping that JJ does not disappoint, like
we'll
like
see.
you said last time. But, it can't. The bar being set where it was with the prequels. I think this has got to be an improvement.
I've said this on air. I'll say it again. I liked Revenge of the Sith better than I liked Return of the Jedi.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So now the other prequel movies I like because they're Star Wars movies, not necessarily because they're good movies. But I'm like the football fan that supports the team in a good and bad season.
Right.
So, and what about you, Keith? What are you thinking?
Well, I don't know if I should put a comment out there because I remember when you did your tickets. I got about 5 phone calls, about 5 texts, and I'm like, what? I mean, I thought something happened down there. So we finally hooked up, and then you were like,
were those all
buy
for
your
me?
Star Wars tickets.
Those were all for me?
And I said, what's that?
All those texts and calls were from me?
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure you knew.
Star Wars. And you're like, you get your tickets. And I'm like, no, not yet. I said, I think I'm going to avoid the crowds and go like in the next week. And there's this long pause. And you're like, you waited through the website crash and everything else, and you finally got your tickets. And I believe, I think the words were Fairweather Fan. I think I called it Fairweather Fan.
It might have been I think I did say that. But anyway.
I'm excited. Right. I can't wait. I'm really excited for it.
This is like, I'm going to have to put a stake in the heart of this news segment because I really don't want to give these guys, I do want to give these guys to talk about their books. But a couple of quick Star Wars news. One, Star Wars Battlefront, the new game's out. Review aggregate on Metacritic, Xbox One version, 75. PS4 and PSC is getting a 72. Polygon, and this is linked on shaneplays.com. How many people did Luke Skywalker kill compared to Darth Vader? And they counted it up, and this is on, go to shaneplays.com, and it's linked there. Like, Darth Vader on screen killed 12 people. Luke Skywalker, if you include the Death Star, was like 369,000 something people. So who's the Sith Lord here? What do you think about that, Keith?
Well, I think I need to become a true fan to know those figures.
Nicely done. Nicely done. Okay, and then finally, we're gonna Star Wars: The Force Awakens countdown is 26 days, 25 days if you got tickets for the night before, like a true fan.
And that's what you did, I assume.
Yeah, that's what I did. Yeah, my wife and I are going. So anyway, all right, this has been a long news segment. Let's kill it. Zach, here's what I want you to do. When we go to break, run both breaks. That way, when we get back, it'll be interrupted as much time with these two guys. And Keith, thanks so much for calling in. I hope you get to feeling better, buddy. Thanks for being a part of the hijinks. Oh, and don't forget, go to shaneplays.com. My friend Keith sent me pictures of his Fallout character running around in his skivvies. So he said this is a true hero. So shaneplays.com to see that. If you dare. That's how
I kill super mutants. Yep.
That's how you do it. All right. In your skivvies. All right. When we come back, we're going to have PR, say it. Principe and Thomas Kroepfl with their books and more geekiness on Shane Plays.
Megawars.net The classic online space strategy game has returned, bigger and better than ever before. Scout the universe and claim your empire. Construct, customize, and launch dozens of different starships. Battle thousands of opponents online in a team-based competition leading to the ultimate battle of the galaxies. Grab your slot today in one of the most hotly anticipated indie games of 2015. Visit megawars.net and get options only available during our pre-sale event running now. megawars.net.
The die is cast. Plunge into worlds of fantastic adventure where dragons lie and the undead stalk the shades of your mind's imagines. Where creatures of legend plunder wealth through the horror of their passage. Monsters grim and foul hold the ecstasy of gold and the renown of glory. All this and more awaits you and your friends in the unlimited, fantastic world of the Castles and Crusades role-playing game from Trollord Games. Visit your friendly local game store or trollord.com to get your copy today. A rules-light, adaptable game that has stood the test of time. 12 years in constant publication with no new additions, Castles and Crusades is the original, easy-to-play attribute check system. Join us and unleash your imagination. Visit your friendly local game store or trollord.com to get your copy of Castles and Crusades today. Shane Plays Radio is blessed to have sponsors, and we appreciate them very much. However, did you know that you can also support the show as an individual for as little as $1 an episode? Simply go to patreon.com/ShanePlays.
Hey, welcome back to Shane Plays Radio, a journey into things we love. This is live Geek Talk Radio. If people want to call in, they can at 501-823-0965, or they can tweet me at Shane Plays. We got Thomas Kroepfl and PR Principe. I'm messing it up every time.
Principe.
Principe.
As in Pacino.
Principe. Both Little Rock area authors who have written post-apocalyptic published novels. I'm going to talk to them real quick. First, I want to let people know about how they can win a copy of Sword Coast Legends. You can get a Steam game code for the D&D computer role-playing game, Sword Coast Legends. Either go to Shane Plays and tweet at me at Shane Plays and just say Sword Coast Legends, or you can go to my Facebook page, the Shane Plays Facebook page, and make a comment on the giveaway post that is pinned to the top. And the links to both of those are at shaneplays.com. Okay, guys, we had fun during the news segment, but I want to talk with what time we have left about your books. So thanks so much for bantering and having fun during the news. Now, both of you have written published books that are out. You are your freshman debuts, as they say.
Freshman author, yeah.
Very
now,
first
Thomas,
novel.
Yeah. Now, Thomas, you wrote a book called ZWD, King of an Empty City.
Correct.
Okay. And then PR, you wrote a book called Omega Plague Collapse.
Yes, indeed.
Okay. Starting with Thomas, tell us a little bit about your book, then we'll go over to PR.
All right. The book takes place here in Little Rock. It is about a couple who are just absorbed in their own lives, day-to-day lives. They live on their phone, they live on the internet, and when the zombie outbreak occurs, they're really not aware of it. So living in the 21st century, they are trying to figure out how to live basically like cavemen, trying to survive day to day as the food supplies slowly dwindle away.
Now, this is set in Little Rock, using Little Rock locations.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, is the couple based on anybody that you know?
No.
Okay.
No.
Do you draw? Because we've known each other for years, and we have a mutual friends of very cool, interesting people. Yeah. So do you base anybody on?
I pulled a little bit from just about everybody that we both mutually know, but there are two background characters that the hero references constantly in it, and they are based on two high school friends of mine that I grew up with.
All right.
Who were real into the survivalist kind of a thing. So,
all right, and then for now, I've I've got PR's book, and I'm about 3/4 of the way through it. I'm going to read your book, but I don't know anything about it yet other than what I've read and the glowing reviews and what you've shared with me. Now, this is a zombie book, but the zombies are almost secondary to the survival and relationship aspect of it, right?
That's true. When I was writing the book, I was trying to think of what happens if this were to happen. You see the news reports from a couple of years ago where something happened in the East Coast and the electric grid went down.
Right.
And it threw the entire segment of the country basically back to caveman times. They had to figure out how to live, how to survive, how to move without electricity for a month almost. And that was kind of always in my mind as I was writing this, although in the book they do have power.
Now, how do they get, if that doesn't give anything away, how do they have power in the book?
The grid just doesn't collapse yet.
Oh, okay. So nuclear one didn't go off like a rocket?
Far as they know, no.
Okay. Wow. So, but now there is some zombie action.
Yes.
They're trying to eat brains and
all
that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, what was your most fun location to adapt to the book?
Paris Towers.
Okay.
It's I'm not exactly sure, a housing, I don't want to say project because it's not really a project, but it is a apartment complex that is downtown.
Okay.
And I'd thought, because I walk the dogs past it every day.
Okay.
And I thought, well, what would happen if that thing were infested with zombies? How would they go about getting rid of them? And so I spent probably 2 months trying to figure that out before I even started writing about it.
And that leads me, I want to talk to both of you guys about your process. How long did it take you to write the book, and like how much per day, or like what was your process?
I tried to write at least a page every day, whether I wanted to or not, whether it had anything to do with the story or not, just to write.
Just keep the chops up.
Yeah, and there were times when I would spend weeks not writing anything because I just couldn't think of anything. The book, I think, took me about 1.5 years to complete. And I know you said that yours took a little bit longer, but you had time restrictions.
I was writing at night for basically about 9 o'clock till midnight, and so there were days, I'd write a page or two. Then there were days where I'd open it up and I'd look at it and I'd be like,
you'd be lucky to even think about it.
I'm going to go watch Walking Dead for an hour.
And if you're just tuning in, we were talking with Thomas Kroepfl about his book, ZWD, King of an Empty City. We just heard from PR Principe. Hey, I got it. In his book, Omega Plague Collapse. So tell us a little bit about your book,
yes.
PR.
So my book takes place in the Naples area of Italy, in and around the island of Capri, which is a resort island off the coast of Naples. We follow the story of an Italian carabinieri, which is basically a combination. It's a law enforcement organization, and it's kind of a combination between FBI and state police. And we follow his story as he tries to survive an outbreak of airborne AIDS, and he watches society collapse around him, and that's kind of where the title comes from.
And I think my Kindle is telling me that I'm 71% in. So, and we were talking earlier about some technology, so that'll tell you exactly where I'm at.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So you did some pretty heavy research on like real communications technology that gets introduced into the book. And you shared that personally you're a ham radio.
I am a ham radio, yes. Call sign November 5 Victor Mike.
Okay.
So, and I tried to use that knowledge to inform the radio technology that they ends up using there as kind of, as end up being part of the plot there. We don't want to give away too much, but he ends up trying to discover a method to communicate, and it might involve ham radio, or at least, or an aspect of it anyway.
Well, and I don't want to give anything either, but the method, there's one place on the island that he just goes back to sometimes, and he has a method for discouraging scavengers.
Yeah, do you like that method?
That was genius.
No, thank you. Thank you.
I was like, oh my goodness.
Because really, would you want to go in after he's done that?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't. I guess if somebody were really brilliant or really an outside of the box thinker, they may think why, but I don't think most people would. They were like, I ain't messing with that.
That's right. Once you open it,
yeah, I ain't messing. Anyway, I will say no more.
I'm intrigued.
But what's interesting about both of your books is you've based them on real locations, and I can tell by PR's book that, you're like, this road really exists. In some cases, I'm like, I think that shop probably exists, for goodness sake. So the way, because the way you describe the island is it. Either you've been there or you're really good at fudging it.
No, I have been there a few times, actually. I went to high school in Italy, so I traveled all around that part of Italy when I was there. That's also what makes Thomas's book interesting, is when you go and you recognize the place names, and you can tell when an author has been to the places he's describing, I think. And certainly for Thomas's book, when I read it, I was like, oh, yeah, I know that Safeway. I know where that is. And just like in Omega Plague, I've walked those streets, and hopefully that brings a level of realism to the book. And I think for yours as well, Thomas, I think it does also.
It's write what you know.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm really looking forward to reading your book, Thomas. I've on Facebook for weeks and months, I've seen people, hey, you need to read this, and I know you got some really good reviews on Amazon.
I know we're friends, and our mutual friend Mark Smith, who's at KASU Radio, has said this when he read the book. He goes, "Look, I've been friends with you forever. I don't want to read the book because we are friends. If it's bad, I don't want to tell you that. Don't worry about it. I'll take it as a compliment if you say, oh, this sucks. You should never pick up a typewriter again."
Well, and that's the thing. I have never written a full novel, but I've done some short fiction. I've sold some nonfiction and short fiction, and I used to blog for Ars Technica way back in the day, and writers and authors thrive on real feedback. It hurts, but you thrive on it. You really want to, because there's always going to be the people that they're, like, oh, it's great, and they're just trying to be good friends, or like your mom or something, and you like that, but you want you
want the honesty.
Right. I think you grow from maybe even negative feedback more than you grow from positive feedback. Actually.
But anyway, PR, a lot of the reviews on your book that I've seen on Amazon, they hammer it over and over like, wow, this is really well polished and solid for a first book, and I agree with that.
Oh, thank you.
There's just a I don't know, just a polish there, or a level of
editors
execution.
Editors. Well,
editors.
Yeah,
big shout out to editors. Without them,
we were talking about the editor piece of novel writing, and it's so critical to have a second eye on your first draft of a manuscript.
Yeah,
and we were talking about the editing process and how much the editors actually what they do is just cut. They just cut a bunch of
I confused PR.
Words.
Somebody walked into the Mark Raymer, who will be on. He's back on his normal time on Saturdays. Mark Raymer Show, the best in political talk. He'll be on right after me. But anyway, I confused the PR. Sorry.
Oh, that's right. We were talking about how the editors, they just went through and just cut words here and there, and the next thing you know, they've cut out 30, 40, 50 pages.
Cut out almost 100 pages on mine.
And they cut
a
out
lot of writing is knowing what not to say.
A ton of it, I would say.
And that's something as a radio host I'm really trying to learn, is to shut up sometimes. And ironically, I'm interrupting y'all saying that. So what's next? Thomas, we'll go to you, and then we'll go back to you, PR. What's next for you writing-wise, Thomas?
Well, right now in the can, waiting to go to the editor in April, I've got my next book, which has nothing to do with zombies or horror or anything like that. And I'm collaborating a little bit with our good friend Calvin Roach.
Yeah, good old Cal.
On a sort of a Conan kind of story.
Sweet. I've been reading over the past few months the original Robert E. Howard Conan, and I've really been enjoying them.
I've been rereading them too, just to get a feel for it. And so hopefully we'll have something that we can put out next year.
Well, that's great. So, and we need to write a short story in Calvin's honor called Nothing Good Shambles, because we were playing Torg, which is an RPG years ago, and something shambled through and took out Jerry's character, and ever since then it's Nothing Good Shambles. So anyway, what's next for you, PR?
Well, I have a short story. I'd call it a post-apocalyptic vignette coming out. Vignette, yes, on ilovezombie.it.
And so it has zombies in it.
No, it's in the section on the not just zombies. It's an Italian website. An Italian author had emailed me, and it's going to be in Italian and English, and it's called The Rescue.
Okay.
And the audiobook for Omega Plague is coming out in the next 2 weeks. And I'm looking forward to that.
Now, is it through who?
Through Amazon. So Amazon has got the audio author webpage, and you put your book out there for bid. And I had three voice actors submit a sample. And so that's good. And I picked one, and it's going to be coming out. The name is Tim Bruce. He's a voice actor in Britain.
Oh, great.
Awesome.
And so
that's exciting.
Yeah, it should be fun. He does such a great job of bringing the dialogue to life.
Yeah,
so
that's great.
And
now, go ahead.
I started the sequel, but I don't have a.
Yeah, I figured there'd be a sequel because it's Omega Plague Collapse.
Correct.
So it's like there's more to come.
I hope so. Yes.
Yeah, I'm hoping that Bruno survives into the sequel. I don't know Bruno's fate yet.
We don't know his fate yet, do we? We shall see.
All right. So. And I got to ask, Thomas, what does ZWD stand for?
It stands for Zombie War Diaries.
Well, Zombie War Diaries. Okay.
Originally, I had kind of thought that there are two main characters in it that I would flip back and forth between both their diaries, but it just didn't work out that way. So.
Okay.
Have you read Day by Day Armageddon?
No, I haven't.
Okay. There's another
stuff,
and he's actually an author from Arkansas and a Navy guy. His name is J.L. Bourne, and he writes a single-person journal, a zombie journal, not in Arkansas, but somewhere else.
And Thomas is also a Navy veteran.
And
you're an Air Force veteran. I'm an Air Force veteran. Keith's an Air Force veteran who was on during news segment. All right, guys, we are it's wrapping up. I want to give you guys like a minute each. Thoughts on writing, encouragement for authors, best part, worst part, whatever.
Just sit down and write. Put it all out there and trust that your editor will shave it down to something that makes sense.
Okay. So trust your editor.
Trust your editor and write. Just write.
And that's it.
Yeah.
All right. Now, how did you get your book accepted? Like, how hard was the submission process?
It was really fairly easy. I went through Amazon and self-published, first through their Kindle site and then through their paperback site. And then a friend said, "Hey, I've submitted you for Ingram's Sparks, so you've been accepted."
You got submitted on somebody's. That's great. All right, I hate to cut it.
That's fine.
PR final thoughts, like what people could do, your favorite part of writing, whatever.
I think the best part of writing is actually having finished the manuscript. That's my favorite part. But in terms of advice, you just need to write something, a blank page. You can't edit, you can't do anything with it. You just need to type and just type whatever comes to you, and then
don't be scared.
Don't be scared of the blank page.
When your next book comes out, you guys are both welcome back on. So, and I appreciate y'all so much for being on right now. We got to wrap the show. Thanks again, Thomas Kroepfl. Say it.
Kroepfl.
Of Kroepfl.
He's known me for years and hasn't gotten it right for the
first time I met him, I said he looked like Qui-Gon Jinn.
It's the beard.
And that is anyway, ZWD, King of an Empty City. And then PR, say it.
Principe.
Omega Plague Collapse. And both of those books are linked on shaneplays.com. Go buy them. So let me, real quick, going to wrap up the show. Don't forget to listen week delayed on KryptonRadio.com, Sci-Fi for your Wi-Fi. And don't forget to sponsor Game Goblins. Some goblins are your friends. Call Game Goblins at 501-224-GAME or visit them online at GameGoblins.com. That's 501-224-GAME or GameGoblins.com for the best in Magic the Gathering, Warhammer 40K, board games, card games, RPGs, miniatures, and hobbies accessories. And mention Shane Plays to receive $10 off your purchase of $50 or more. That's it, guys. We're wrapped. It goes so quick. Thanks so much for listening, and we will catch you next time on Shane Plays, a journey into the things we love.
Megawars.net. The classic online space strategy game has returned, bigger and better than ever before. Scout the universe and claim your empire. Construct, customize, and launch dozens of different starships. Battle thousands of opponents online in a team-based competition leading to the ultimate battle of the galaxies. Grab your slot today in one of the most hotly anticipated indie games of 2015. Visit megawars.net and get options only available during our pre-sale event running now. megawars.net.
The die is cast. Plunge into worlds of fantastic adventure where dragons lie and the undead stalk the shades of your mind's imagines. Where creatures of legend plunder wealth through the horror of their passage. Monsters grim and foul hold the ecstasy of gold and the renown of glory. All this and more awaits you and your friends in the unlimited, fantastic world of the Castles and Crusades role-playing game from Trollord Games. Visit your friendly local game store or Trollord.com to get your copy today. A rules-light, adaptable game that has stood the test of time. 12 years in constant publication with no new additions, Castles and Crusades is the original, easy-to-play attribute check system. Join us and unleash your imagination. Visit your friendly local game store or Trollord.com to get your copy of Castles and Crusades today. Shane Plays Radio is blessed to have sponsors, and we appreciate them very much. However, did you know that you can also support the show as an individual for as little as $1 an episode? Simply go to patreon.com/ShanePlays.